Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're going to be looking at connecting to remote servers using SSH and the SCP protocol, or the Secure Shell protocol as well. What is a protocol, you might be asking? A protocol is an agreement between two or more parties on a way to communicate. Just as we're communicating now using English is our protocol of communication, we have the same thing in web as well, web and computing. For example, a protocol which you've most often used and probably used by you as well is HTTP. Every time you access a web page, whether it be Facebook or Google, you're making an HTTP request to the server and it's responding with data. So what we're going to be doing is something very similar to that, using a different protocol that's designed around remote access or remote connection to other servers. So what we can do and what we've already done is, as you've seen, everything we've been doing is done via command line interface. When you type a command, the command you type is in text. When the command is run, it returns text and displays that text on screen. Essentially, everything you're doing is working with text. There's no graphics, there's no application data. It's all very, very lightweight. Because it's so lightweight, the amount of data being sent to and from the server is quite small as well, making SSH extremely quick and extremely efficient. So what does this allow you to do? Because it's so lightweight, you can configure a web server 1,000 miles away with next to no lag. The only delay you'll have is the milliseconds it takes for the signal to be sent overseas. You can be on a mountain in Germany using your phone to configure a web server in Australia, and each command you send will take 0.25 of a second to be run and executed on the remote server. So if you think about your text traveling 1,000 miles in under a second, that's rather amazing. If you think about what you can do with that, you can be anywhere in the world and remote administrate any other server in the world with just about any device, any computer, any phone, any smartphone, any laptop, any desktop. Even most TVs these days support the ability to run a terminal client and connect to a remote server. So it really is an extremely versatile application. Anyway, enough talk, let's see how it's done. So the command we're going to be using is SSH or Secure Shell. Everything we've been doing so far has been considered inside a shell, and that's just the interaction we have between the terminal and the user. The shell is the bit that sits in between. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to use SSH to connect to a remote server. You will be doing this throughout your degree, and it will be a skill that you will need to know and use quite a bit. A lot of the time, especially in web development, you will need to work with remote servers, i.e. upload files or make changes on the remote server. So what I'm going to do is SSH, then we have a username, i.e. E87561, which is my staff number, and then this is the address of the server. So the server I'm going to be using is one of RMIT's, it's Yulara. So yulara.cs.rmit.edu.au. So as we can see here, this is my username on the left, and this is the address of the server I wish to connect to. The @ is simply a separator, just like email. You may have jack@gmail.com. We have my username at yulara.cs.rmit.edu.au. And SSH again is just the command. It's also a protocol. So when I run this command, what you'll notice after a little bit of delay is if it's the first time you're connecting to a remote host or remote server, you'll get a nice warning like this. This simply says that you've never connected to the host before. Are you sure you wish to connect to it? Simple, small security feature. As I am sure, I'm going to type yes and press enter. What we'll see now is it's saying that warning, permanently added Yulara, so it's saying it's now remembered this host, and now it's asking me to type my password. You'll understand if I don't type my password, don't say my password out loud, as it's for security reasons. You'll also notice that it doesn't really show that a password is being accepted on screen, and even though no characters are showing up, it is reading your password. Let me just try that again. And as we can see, I've now connected to the remote server. So you might notice that the shell or the command line looks a little bit different now, but it is roughly the same. All those commands that I showed you before, PS, PWD, and LS, will work just as the same, but on a different machine. You can connect to as many machines as you like, whether it be simultaneously. You can also connect through machines, using them as bridging points or ways to get around proxies. SSH is a very versatile and very compatible protocol for connecting to remote servers. So you'll find it is widely used, especially for transferring files and videos, and again, widely used in web development and connecting to remote servers. So what I'm going to do here is just show you around. This is the Elara server. As we can see, my home folder is a little bit different. I'm in /home/staff and my staff number. I can go to the root of the file system just as I did in the other video, show that as well. And then I can also go back to the home folder. I'm going to go back. Remember, tilde is a representation of the home folder. Typing that will take me straight back to the home folder. So what can I do with this? Well, just about anything I want, whether I want to port scan a remote server, set up a website, deploy a web server, download all of the internet. I can do just about all of that from terminal. And again, like I said, because it is so lightweight, the amount of bandwidth it uses is extremely small. So you can use this on a mobile phone, even on a 2G connection, 3G connection for sure, and definitely a 4G. But even on a 2G connection in the middle of the country, you'll find you'll be able to connect to a remote server if you have signal and run all the commands. This is extremely useful. So again, I highly recommend you practice this. You may not be able to now, as you don't have access to a remote server, but as soon as you do, open up a terminal. I'll go back and show you the command again. Open up a terminal and just run SSH user at server. And again, like I said, all the commands explained in this video, all the file editing, all of that stuff can be done whether you're connected to the local machine or the remote machine. So it's really about knowing that Unix is more, it's a tool to be used and utilized, and terminal is simply the front end or the way to communicate with that tool. So again, because it is such a great tool, it's up to you to decide how to use it, and it's simply to facilitate access and allow you to transfer, copy files, manipulate the system, install programs, and essentially do whatever you want. Command line may seem foreign and a difficult concept, but I assure you, after using it for a little bit, it's the preferred choice, especially over GUI, simply because it's faster, quicker, and has less overhead and utilizes less bandwidth. So I hope you've enjoyed this short video, and I hope you practice SSH soon. Thanks for listening, and I will possibly see you in the next one.